I'm delighted to be joined by Gary Stahl. He is the Director of UNICEF's Private Fundraising and Partnerships Division. Gary, how on earth are you?
I'm doing very well, Frankie. How are you?
Yeah, I am good. I'm surviving. I'm in London with my partner. I know that you're in isolation with your family. How are they finding the situation?
I think it's been great for our family. I got married just before the lockdown, so we didn't have the honeymoon that we planned, but I have 11-year-old twins, and it's just been marvelous family time. No travel, home every weekend, cooking, spending time with the family. It's been great.
Well, congratulations on the
Thank you.
wedding. And Gary, how did you become involved with UNICEF?
Interestingly enough, I was working as an interpreter living in Latin America, and I did a bunch of conferences for UNICEF when they were debating whether or not they should put their weight behind the Convention on the Rights of the Child. This was in the 80s. I'm dating myself. And I listened with such interest, and I thought, if there were a UN agency whose mandate was actually equal rights for all children, not charity, but actually all children, then that's where I want to work. So when they passed it, I went back and got another degree in developmental economics, and I started with UNICEF in the genocide in Rwanda.
Gary, what are some of the things that your charity has been doing to support the COVID-19 relief? Because people might not realize it, but children have been affected in more ways than just getting sick or having relatives become ill.
Exactly. Largely, children are spared from COVID. It does have effects. Some children are sick, some children are dying, but it's much smaller percentages. Children are affected by the fact that they can't go to school. As I said earlier, there's millions of children who depend on school lunches, and their family can't provide that. Their parents may have to work. Childcare is an issue. They may not be deathly ill, but they need to go to the doctor, and the health centers are taken up with COVID patients. So we're very worried about the knock-on effects or the secondary effects of this on children, especially as it rolls out across the world and the developing countries. It's impossible to socially distance if you live in a favela in Brazil or in the slums of Nairobi and you have 8 people living in a one-room shack. What we're doing right now, I think the most noticeable and easily understood thing, we're buying massive amounts of protective gear and equipment, and we're working with countries around the world to make sure that their healthcare staff actually have that protective gear so that they don't get sick and they can continue to treat everyone. So that's being rolled out globally. It's been a huge challenge because most of that is produced in China, and in February and March we had a difficult time procuring because those factories were closed down. Fortunately, those are up and running again. And we're working with governments around the world to make sure that children do. In a lot of places, we've managed to make sure that children who depend on school lunches have access to those lunches, even though they don't have access to school. We're working to make sure that routine vaccination continues, because in some countries, routine vaccination has stopped. So we could see as many as 6,000 children a day start dying from preventable causes because the regular healthcare system is on a pause while we deal with COVID.
So what are some of the most valuable and important things that people like me or you could be doing around the world during the pandemic?
The first thing is try to sort through the fake news and make sure that you do everything that you can to protect yourself, and also make sure you do everything you can to protect the rest of society, because if you're young and healthy, the chances are not very high that it would be a bad thing for you to get. But if you give it to your grandma or the little old lady who runs the corner store, they could die from it. So we all need to do our part to stay safe and protect ourselves and protect others. And of course, anything you can do, like this amazing work you're doing with us and other charities to raise money for the countries which are really going to be hit harder by this, is fantastic.
Now, in Gamers Without Borders, we have had gamers from around the world competing in weekly and even daily tournaments, and we've had several weeks, we're in the middle of several weeks of competition between elite teams in various different eSports. And a lot of them are choosing to support UNICEF with the prize pool money that they earn from their placement. How has seeing that response from these players affected you and your organization?
not that many people in UNICEF know yet. We're going to wait until it's over before we do some more sort of internal communication push on this. But those of us that have been involved in this, we're really excited about it because this is not a group of people that we're used to dealing with. We deal with a lot of adults in the government sector, we deal with NGO sector, we deal with children, but this sort of young people's age group, where the gamers are, is a new demographic for us, and we're really happy that we're able to collaborate with you, and we're thrilled to know that you're interested in what we're doing, because we have other hugely important initiatives like Generation Unlimited, making sure that every child is either receiving an education, some kind of training, or an employment at slightly older age groups, and that we do with other charities and organizations around the world. So for us, it's just really exciting to know that you're interested.
Yeah. Well, Gary, thank you so much to you and UNICEF for supporting children around the world, and children who clearly have been affected by COVID-19 in more ways than one might expect from the surface of it all. So thank you so much, Gary, and good luck to you and UNICEF.
Well, thank you, Frankie, for bringing all of your community to work with us. And I wish those in the finalists, I wish you all the best of luck.